7.3. We are solving decimal and fraction equations. It's the same procedure as the other two-step equations. And what I mean by two-step equations, that means, let me write the first part of the word down. That means that the first thing we do is move what isn't connected, and the second thing we do is move what is connected. Same strategy, just looks harder. And the biggest thing that I need you to remember when we're solving these decimal and fraction equations is some basic fraction operation facts. Okay? I'm just waiting for stay. Okay, it stayed. So I want you to write down some basic fraction facts. I'm going to write this as fraction operations. And it's something that we know we've been exposed to, but my golly, it is the easiest thing to forget. Okay, and that is when we add or subtract, you need to make sure to have a common denominator. I'm going to focus most of our attention here today on fractions because the decimals I'm going to allow you to use a calculator for. But anything that's given to you as a fraction, you need to solve manually, okay? When you multiply, that asterisk is a multiply symbol. When you multiply, you do not need, I'm going to say CD, common denominator. When we multiply, we don't need it, right? What's my fact about dividing a fraction? Okay, I need more confidence. What's my fact with dividing? JC had it right, but I want the whole class to tell me.
Multiply without.
Oh, that was beautiful. We multiply by the reciprocal. And maybe I'll be professional and write the whole thing down. Multiply by the reciprocal. So those are some fraction operation facts that we need to just always keep in our hat, in our tricks of trades, okay? You need to know that when you add or subtract, you need a common denominator. When you multiply, you don't need one. Don't forget, and I'm always, the unspoken rule for multiplying is to cross-simplify, so make sure you do that too. And when you divide, we need to know to multiply by the reciprocal. I can totally relate why students do not like fractions. For so many different, for 4 operations, we have 3 different techniques we got to utilize. It's a lot. But then that doesn't even include mixed numbers. Oh, we forgot all about poor little mixed numbers. Let's include mixed numbers in here. In mixed numbers, we can leave mixed when we're adding and subtracting. So I'm just going to kind of make a separate table once my smartboard chills. Okay. So for mixed numbers, when you add or subtract, you don't make improper. But then when you multiply or divide mixed numbers, you must make improper first. Now today all we're talking about is solving equations. And I don't want you to, I always want you to. Must make improper first, mixed numbers. So when you add or subtract a mixed number, you don't make it improper. When you multiply or divide a mixed number, you make improper first. So it's just extending those operations and our little rules. So many rules for fractions. That's why most of us hate them, because there's just too much to keep track of. But I promise you, you will master it. You really will. moving on to the next slide. I think I jump right into examples. Just jump right into it. Okay? In our first example, hey, it's a little decimal. Decimals aren't bad because guess what? Miss Mahold lets me use a calc on this. This isn't going to be too shabby. So all I have to keep track of is my step 1 and step 2. Step 1, move what's not connected. So what am I going to move first, class? The 1.8. So I'm going to go plus 1.8. Plusing 1.8. And now I'm going to plus 1.8. But notice if I were to do this manually, when you add or subtract decimals, you have to align the decimals. When you multiply or divide decimals, you don't need to line them up. Even more confusion. This turns into 3.45x equals, what is it? I heard 5.5. Is that right? 5.5? 5.05. Okay, 5.05. Now, class, how do I move that 3.45? Divide, right? So now I'm going to divide both sides by the 3.45. Divide by the 3.45. And I get, that cancels, x is equal 1. Yeah, I'm just going to round it. It's 1.463. I'm going to round it to 1.5. My biggest, you can either round it to the nearest tenths or hundredths. Those tend to be the most popular spots to round. So whatever you want there, unless it specifies. I don't care either way whether you do tenths or hundredths. All right, I'm going to do another one. One moment. Ooh, that looks ugly, doesn't it? That looks really ugly. That's okay, right? It's going to be okay. Okay. Here we go. Write it in your notes. Although it is ugly, yes it is, I will still follow. Step 1, move what's not connected. So what is not sticking to my variable? My negative 9. So the opposite of negative 9 is plus 9. And now I'm going to plus 9 over here. Oh goodness, it is very, very ugly. So now I know what's left here is x over 4.5. And now, again, you're welcome to use your calc to help you. 3.44, I make it negative. Plus 9 is a positive 5.56. It's looking a little bit more reasonable, right? Now, what operation does that tell me? X over 4.5. Am I multiplying or dividing? Dividing, right?
Yeah.
So how do I move divide? Multiply. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 4.5. That's moving what's connected. That's step 2. That cancels this out, and I'm left with x is equal to 5.56 times 4.5 is 25.02. That's my x. Okay, so let me go through my steps. I move what's not connected. What wasn't connected is that negative 9. Okay, that's the first thing I moved. Again, what wasn't connected is this negative 9. So I moved that by doing the opposite. And then I was left with this fraction right here. And to move that divide, I multiply.
Wouldn't the 9, wouldn't you add it to the 3?
Add it to the what?
The 3.
Well, it's negative 3. It's negative 3.44. So technical strategy, what we really do manually, is you go 9 minus 3.44. But you're lucky because I'm not making you do this. That turns into 89, 6, 5, 5, there's my 5.56. And then I say what's bigger, the negative or positive. The positive is bigger, so it stays positive. That's a technical strategy. Okay? All right, let's do a couple more examples. Oh, just kidding. Let's do a new concept. Distributing a fraction. A very intimidating concept that you are going to be expected to know within your 7th and 8th grade year of math. So, when we distribute a fraction, it's going to look something like this. Let's just go. We're going to have something like that. And I want to empower you with a really quick strategy to do it. Okay? And my quick strategy is to take what's in front, or that whole number, multiply it to the top, and it's all over the same bottom. And it goes like this. If you have 3/4 times, it's like saying 1 over 1x, isn't it? 1x is 1 over 1, plus 3/4 times 5 over 1. That's the same strategy, isn't it? It would sure take a long time though. Here's where you can get the trick from. This turns into, let's step it down, 3 over 4x, because it's 3 times 1 over 4 times 1, plus 3 times 5 is 15 over 4 times 1 is 4. Now I want you to notice where the 3 and the 15 are coming from. I want you to just take a gander and see where they're coming from. Let's think of how to word that. Okay, so our trick is, if you notice here, this turns into just 3/4 x plus 15/4. What I really did is when this numerator, 3 times 1, that's my new top, over the original bottom. Plus 3 times 5 is 15 over the original bottom, which is 4. That's the trick. Now, how can we word that? Any ideas on how you can word that technically? I mean, it's just a little trick I've discovered along the way, and I don't know how to technically do it. But I want you to be able to utilize it. You might want to do number times the top. And when I say number, I mean whatever number's inside the parentheses, all over the bottom. That's my way to say it. Any other ideas? Mariah? Okay, so we got more technical. Numerator times the number in the parentheses, all over the bottom, or the denominator, I'm not sure you're thinking. Any other ideas to remember that trick? Those are about it, right? So now I want you to practice this trick. Once you are empowered with this trick, boy, is it, you're like, man, I wish I would have known this my whole entire life. You're gonna pretend you were. Okay, we're gonna practice. And I want you to distribute 5, 6. Waiting for my marker to come on the board. Yep. 5, 6 times 3x plus 2. I want you to distribute that fraction.